Hello, everyone. And we're having another exciting, in-depth conversation about Tantra, how Tantra can become a professional path, how Tantra can become one of our central identities. And today we have amazing High Priestess Lisa Tibbets. She is in my apprenticeship program, and she is really the embodiment of Tantrika and High Priestess. So I'm really excited to have a conversation with Lisa today and really go into this exploration, right? We always want to have very deep conversations and very personal about how Tantra can serve us in our life and what does it mean to be Tantrika. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so let's start the conversation with maybe exploring what was your life before you discovered Tantra and what led you to this path. Why did you become curious about Tantra?
Well, me and my husband, we had been married for, I want to say it was about 14 years, 15 years before we really started diving deep into our healing path. He had introduced me to the Norse animism path and, um, through medicine ceremonies and, um, the bloats through the Norse animism, and sweat lodge. Like there's all these healing modalities, and we just felt like something was missing. We have always, at least the last few years, talked about helping couples because we feel like we have such a beautiful connection, and we have been through traumas together, traumas before our relationship really started. And we just felt like something was missing. And so we had a really good friend of ours that had mentioned Tantra, and this beautiful, magical woman who came and led this class and this retreat and talked about how powerful it was. And, we were really interested. And then we got a bunch more people interested. And then we had our first retreat with Lana, and we were just so incredibly blown away at how expansive it was. And just the few things that we learned from her during that retreat, how much more in depth our relationship became. And rolling around to the second retreat, we really dove deep in that one. We gave it our all. I know I did. I gave it my all during that time. And I really felt in sync with Tantra. And through the course of the two retreats and then doing our own online investigation, of what Tantra really was, we had found some information that didn't really align with us as couples. And a few short weeks later, Lana reached out to us and said that she was opening this Tantra apprenticeship program and invited us if we wanted to come. And uh, we weren't really for sure, but once we had a really in-depth conversation about Lana's beliefs and her core beliefs and the type of Tantra that she teaches, everything just aligned, and we just dove in head first, and we are just so grateful.
Yeah, incredible. I love this journey, the way you described it briefly. I'm actually curious to really hear what was not aligned when you were investigating Tantra online, because this is such a good question to look at, because I know many people looking online is like, oh, there's some creepy stuff out there about Tantra, right? It's like definitely it is associated with sexuality. And what is happening in those tantric retreats, nobody knows, but it's scary. Maybe it's creepy, So people who never tried it, and there are different, of course, tantric schools and tantric workshops and retreats and tantric communities, and there is this term called neo tantra, right? It's basically tantra that was adapted to Western, mindset, Western belief system, and tantra originates from Hindu tradition, and this is where it was taken from, right? So I'm curious to hear what when you were investigating with your husband, what was not aligned, what made you feel like, oh, we're not sure.
Well, we had run into a couple of articles talking about, the gurus and these temple nights and how partners are shared, and that's how you connect with these temple nights, and everyone and everything, and every action is completely sacred. And your me and my husband, we are working on our sacred union right now, and to share our partners during, let's say sex, because that's basically what it was referring to. That was not aligned with us. We were like,
Mhm.
no.
Oh,
And even connecting with other people on such a deep, intimate level, we just didn't know the parameters of that. We thought that it was completely sexual, and this is what it was. But instead, what we're learning in our group and in this apprenticeship program, you can actually have a really deep, intimate relationship with someone, and it just be, just a friends. It doesn't have to be sexual. We have a connection, very deep connection with every single member in this apprenticeship group, and that has blown our minds. But the thing that just didn't align was, we just thought that, oh, there's these crazy temple nights and there's this guru, and, we're trading partners and all that sort of stuff. So that's what didn't align.
mhm,
Everything else that we read, the venerating of the gods, the rituals, the rites, that sort of thing, that really got our attention. And so that aligned, but it was just the
mhm,
sexual intimacy with other partners that didn't.
mhm. Yeah, that's a good point. And there are different schools, as I mentioned, where this is part of the practice, right? And there are actually polyamorous communities where whole communities, based on that kind of belief. But definitely, this is not mm, about all tantra, right? So tantra is a spiritual path, and sexuality is actually maybe 5% of what we do. It's about energetics, it's about embodiments, and the way we started in our apprenticeship program is really understanding and learning the principles of tantra and the values that we want to share, and making sure that everyone is aligned with these values. And definitely, right, we don't want to bring that kind of cultish element to that, where the guru is the one who is running the show, right? So we have
Mm-hmm.
horizontal relationships. I share my knowledge, and everyone has a gift to share, and we're learning from each other. So it is horizontal community, and we're also staying really loyal and connected to our partners only on the sexual level, and connecting with others on the level of the heart. So that's part of the discernment of how we relate to each other. Right? So
Right.
that's this piece. I feel this one was very important to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
So you joined the apprenticeship program with your husband. That was such a beautiful, uh, experience to have two of you there. Both of you together, and each one of you separately, because you also very different people and you have so much in common, and like beautiful building this beautiful sacred union, right? So let's explore a little bit what was your experience in the apprenticeship program. What did you learn? What did you discover for yourself? What was maybe something that was like, oh wow, I was not aware of this before. Now like it clicked for me, and like I connected the dots. So anything that you want to share about your experience so far?
My experience so far is, there's quite a few things actually. One of the biggest things is that me and my husband can be separate entities. We can live our own lives and still have that time to come back together and connect, and have this whole other separate entity from our individual lives, which is really beautiful because growing up with the family that I did and the belief systems that I did, it was always, oh, once you're married, it's like a couples thing. You become one instead of having, your own hobbies and your own beliefs and being your own person. It was just kind of like you merged into this motherhood wife type being. And that's not all of who I am. That's for sure. And my husband is obviously discovering the same thing. We're two very separate people living separate lives, although we're still living them together. So, and that brings me to the realization that I have those two same energies within inside of me. And I have been able to realize when one or the other, the masculine or feminine, is imbalanced and how I can bring them to center to balance myself. And even unfolding that deeper, I've been able to, within the shadow aspects, is what we call it, of the masculine or the feminine, I have been able to pick up on a lot of my wounding, a lot of my patterns and my belief systems that no longer serve me, and bring that into balance. And even when that pattern comes up, stop it like right in the center of that, and be able to choose a different path. So
Yes.
just completely rewiring all of that. So
Yes.
those are three of the biggest things that on this apprenticeship path that I have really integrated so deeply into my life and been able to honor not only the light of myself and the beautiful person that I am, but really honoring that dark, earthy, rich, dark goddess that I really am in the midst of all of this.
Yeah, so many rich information right there and so many layers of self-discovery beforehand. Yes, we always start with the self, right? The union within, the sacred feminine, sacred masculine within, and finding that balance, finding that internal relationships, and finding the wholeness, right? Before we connect with another, even with our husbands, our partners, the closest people, we still want to be on our wholeness, and I still want to be sovereign, right? And autonomous beings, so we can grow and understand who we are, even if we are in a very beautiful relationship as a sacred union, right? So this is very powerful piece. And the dark goddess, this is what something that is so probably intriguing for people. So maybe I would like to hear a little bit more about that, because people are always like seeking light. It's so easy. It's like, wow, what is good? What is, mm, accepted in the society? What is easy to share, what when you speak about that goddess, what kind of experiences, what kind of layers of yourself that you feel you could reintegrate and honor, and also mm, see as beautiful part of who we are? um, like what are those layers, what are those aspects of you?
Those aspects of me, really coming into the space of acknowledging that I am a very good example of someone having the witch wound. The witch wound is a space where us females can get, where we're gossiping, where we're talking terribly about other women, where we desire to have things that other women want. The mother wound shows up in this, the sister wound shows up in this too. I've really just been able to look at those pieces of myself and really honor them. In that darkness, in this part of this seductress
Mm-hmm.
that I have become over the years. I've used this seductress part of myself in my business that I'm phasing out now. I've been a barber, and oftentimes the seductress would show up with a pinup style and just dressing that way to get more tips, or, to get higher paying clientele, or, that sort of thing. And it kind of also um, led me to get more compliments because I had such terrible self-esteem. I did not think very highly of myself. I have talked very poorly about myself over the years. And I do believe that was inherited from my mom because I watched my mom do that growing up. So I really embrace this really dark part of myself that is the seductress, and I use it now in a good way in my relationship. Mostly she stays in the bedroom. um, but there are, places that she comes out, and one of the spaces that she comes out is in my ritual space,
Mm.
helping women dive really deep into their own shadow, into their own womb to help connect them to this earth so that they can get those messages to come up. So
Mhm.
that's currently how I'm working with that subjectress is in that ritual space. And I'm not afraid to let the dark in. I'm
Yes.
not afraid to, bring the darkness into that ritual space so that other women can experience that themselves.
Mhm. Yeah, this is such a powerful piece right there because this is what we'll avoid. We're afraid of this, and this is also where we become kind of apologetic and shy, and we don't want to show that this the dark side, right? And the dark side, it is actually represents the feminine, and it represents the womb. It represents the night sky that holds the stars, right? That space, that immense void. So there is in terms of like working with like archetypal energies and like this in terms of like cosmology of the darkness, right? It's actually it has that feminine aspect that the seed is growing in the dark, the baby is being nurtured in the womb before the baby is born. So it's like there is this beauty in it, and also the demonization of that aspect of the feminine, right? With all the dark goddesses like Lilith, right? Persephone. So like working with these archetypes, bringing that side of us that is so powerful, Kali, right?
Yeah.
Bringing this powerful feminine online that is like shedding all these illusions, showing up in her true expression and wholeness. It's so powerful, especially when you bring into ritual, right? And also like reintegrating this part that is wounded, right? The wounded dark goddess uh,
Mhm.
to the place where we can show up in our power, right? Being unapologetic and like facing the taboo and like walking confidently through the taboo places that have been like like a minefield. Like, no, you're not going there because you're gonna be exiled and punished or like burnt on fire, right? It's like this is such a powerful work that you do, and you're a true embodiment of that. The way you hold yourself, the way you speak, the way you work with clients. So we also I had experience to work with one client that uh, Lisa supported so much in the ritual space, and it was like such a powerful work that you have done. Like just so proud and so
Thank you.
honored.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit more about mm, maybe the values of our school, Ascension of Intimacy School of Tantra, because you mentioned that there are some other schools that felt iffy. It was like, oh, I'm not sure about that. So what feels so familiar? What feels so um, like the place where you feel like you belong in our school, that you connect with the value on the value level?
Um, my I've really been thinking about this lately, and the biggest thing that I just love so much about this school is the dedication to our truth and growth.
Mm.
I feel like too often us women, us men, both parties, especially when you're in a relationship, you tend to lose yourself.
Mm.
You tend to people please with your spouse to make them happy. We're always doing, as especially mothers, we're constantly, taking care of the kids, taking care of the house, dinner, that sort of thing. And then there's no room left for ourselves. And so that's really sometimes hard to speak to our partners. Like, hey, I need some time. I need you to cook dinner tonight. I have to have a day off. I don't know very many women who allow their husbands to make dinner, to take the kids to their soccer practices or, dance recitals or whatever the case may be. It's just these moms constantly doing. And that oftentimes leads us to um, not having proper communication with our spouse. And, like I said, just people pleasing and putting on this mask that we think that that's what our partners actually want to see because we're afraid that they can't hold the space for us that we need. And so during these last few months of being in this program, I just really realized how important it is to have that transparency with your partner and to be able to hold that space for them and for them to hold that space for us. Um, and this is what I've been wanting my whole entire life. You know, I had this idea about how I had so much integrity and how I was this sort of person. But really, when it boiled down to it, I was hiding a lot of things from my husband. Truths that if I would have probably spoken the first truth to him and told him about a situation that had happened to me, a lot of the other situations that had happened probably wouldn't have happened, you know, but I didn't trust myself and I didn't trust him. And so now having um this really transparent relationship where we can nurture one another and we can really hold one another in the space that we need to be held in. It's just been so monumental for me. And the truth and growth is my absolute core belief in this whole program.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a powerful one and the central one.
Mhm.
Yes, and I love how you explain how, the fluidity of gender roles in terms of like being in the union and not always following the cookie cutter of relationships, like traditional relationship model. Like,
Mhm.
this is what women should do. This is what men should do. This is what we say. This is what we don't say. Like really, like being limited by those models and the templates that are given to us, and not allowing any creativity, not allowing like our own agreements to be there, right? So
Mhm.
that's a big one. And how healing it is. So like that's kind of opens that questions about the question about healing partnership, because uh, many times in these conversations we talked about healing partnership as people just met and they started to help each other heal, and then we started to develop deep relationship. But you guys were already married and you started to explore healing up partnership within your marriage already. So tell us a little bit more about the experience of helping each other heal.
Ooh, that one. Um, well, it was very messy. Every other day, both of us were stepping on landmines, let's say, triggering each other pretty consistently. Even even when we were having conversations, we were already triggered. We had triggers within inside the trigger, you know? And it was really messy. But learning about the healing partnership and the dynamics of that, and really learning how to be a very present space holder. I've been a barber for the last 11 years. I've cut hair for the last 12 and a half, I guess, including school. And before that, I, was a customer service rep, and I was a waitress. I was a cocktail waitress. And so I've always been able to really hold space for people, especially through my barbering. But I didn't really know what it meant to hold space. And so, being in this healing partnership with my husband, I've been able to really just kind of zone back and hold that space without judgment or without um, any kind of, let's see, any kind of like monetary gain from it. Like I'm doing this so that you'll do this for me. I'm being quiet so that you'll do this.
Mhm.
It's really been just about being able to hold that space for one another and um bring it kind of back around to where we have always wanted it to be with one another.
Mhm.
And that was to hold that space and to have our feelings and to still have arguments or disagreements without it being yelling and screaming matches and, asking ourselves, like, oh, are we even made for this? Are we going to make it through this? So this healing partnership has been able to pull us through some of the dark night of the soul really is what we went through.
Mhm.
It's been able to kind of pull us up and out of that. And we have an extremely soft place to land. If I ever need my husband, um, in any kind of situation, it doesn't matter what it is. I know that he is my softest place that I get to land, and he understands me and he doesn't judge. He's always very curious and asks me questions. And sometimes I don't like those questions, and that's okay. But yeah, it has been a super soft place for us to land in this healing partnership. So,
Mm. Yes, beautiful. Yes, it was beautiful to witness how intense and at the same time loving and delicate this process was for you guys, because it's like rewiring all these beliefs about what marriage should be and how each partner should show up, and like what hiding certain like vulnerable pieces of yourself from each other, because thinking like, well, that's not something that you share with a man. Right? It's like
right.
that was the most probably healing pieces, because like removing those walls of separation was like giving you relief. Like when we hold, this is something that many women and men also shared, like when they hold this something like a secret, when they hold the like hold back from completely sharing themselves, completely being themselves in the space, how much energy it takes, right? And how much like exhaustion it brings to relationships. Like, it's like you need,
Yeah.
and suddenly you remove it, it's like, wow, actually everything is okay, everything is accepted. We all have shadow. We all can hold space for each other. We all can have triggers, right? How
Mhm.
do we actually accept that and hold space for that? So this is like definitely a journey of self-exploration, self-mastery beforehand, like emotional intelligence, relational intelligence, and witnessing you two navigating and moving through this. That was like, wow, they're made for this.
Thank you.
Yes. So I would like also to hear about the community piece, because we do have our little apprenticeship group with 9 people. Well, I'm the 10th one.
Mhm.
And it's been a beautiful journey to build a community and a relationship within the community as well, and how it also helped us to navigate some difficult times and times when you feel you want to be like step away from the community and then you want a community, this kind of the paradox of belonging to a community. And this is some big topic, right, for many people, because it's like, yeah, it's kind of like an intense work if you're constantly engaged with the community. At the same time, like we will crave it, we will want to have this field of belonging where people know us, they've got our back, and we can also have other relationships rather than just our husband or wife or our partner, because each person has their own medicine, their unique medicine. So if you can share a few words about experience being in the tantra community.
Um, it has totally changed my perception on what real friends are. Um, I have never felt so seen in my whole entire life, and I have never felt so connected to a group of people. I used to think that I had this like connection with some of my friends out there, and not to the depth that I have with these individuals in this apprenticeship group. The very strange thing is being in this group. You can feel the energetic ebbs and flows of everyone's life, and oftentimes we have all found that we're going through very similar things at the same time. Um, and so just really opening up that energetic field for all of us to be held in is really amazing. And you have just been such a really great facilitator, and allowing that space to flow and showing us that that space is flowing, that we are flowing together, although maybe we're disconnected right now, but then always reminding us that we get to come back to center and come back together. And that has happened, quite a few times. And so now I feel like we were really close and gathered right there at the end of March going into April, and it was just so illuminating and so ecstatic and just so exciting for all of us. And then now we're like kind of on the flow end of it, where we're just kind of coming back into our own lives and doing our own things. But yet then still staying really connected. And we can reach out to any one of our members and have conversations with them. Even if it's a really hard conversation, we can ask to be seen. We can ask for, hey, I need to be told that I'm a really good person because I'm having a hard day, or I am thinking this way about something. I need you to show me or tell me what I'm not seeing. Like we are completely transparent in this group, and we are just so connected. And it has really been beautiful to witness every single one of these people, especially in the retreat space, where we get to those expanded states of consciousness and witnessing one another. I mean, we have all cried tears of happiness and tears of joy and tears of sadness all together, and we have held one another. And it has just been such a blessing in my life that I have been able to unfold these types of relationships.
Mhm. Yes, yes. It's so beautiful to witness how all the walls of separation melt away, and like we're all together in this field, especially when we're in person. And such a powerful feeling because it builds up over time. This is what I feel, and it's important for people to understand that it's not like, boom, community is here, and like I'm part of the community. It's gonna be this way. It's like a live being, right? We're all like part of it, and it's like it's breathe. It's always there is a breath there, right? Like inhale, exhale, connect, disconnect, kind of like natural cycles, rhythms of how we, but at the same time, after all this work we have done, right? Or we started with the pre-work, right? So about 8 months, so that we've built this foundation based on the values, beliefs, the work we have done together, the intentions, the vision that we have for the world, and being, stepping into a professional role, being tantrikas, being intimacy coaches, tantra practitioners, like that, really that field of belonging, knowing that community is always there, and when we need it, it's there for us. When someone else needs us, we're there for them, and we always give and receive from the heart, right? How is that
Yeah.
agreement? I really, because that's what removes the obligation piece. Like, wow, it's not an obligation. I need to check in with myself first. Like, if I'm ready to give what is being asked of me, right? And
Mm-hmm.
being honest with that and not getting offended when somebody is not in the place of giving in the moment, right? So that's also can happen. And that's why there is a community. There are other people available as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes, beautiful.
Mhm.
So I would like also to uh, briefly discuss the which piece I want to discuss. There are a few things. Maybe let's talk about leadership piece. Like, how do you understand tantric embodied leadership, and what has changed for you in terms of understanding leadership and becoming a leader that you are like embodied already, right? And this piece of remembrance, like, wow, that's me. That's me. I recognize my soul path.
Yeah. Wow. This um this piece is I'm still coming into this piece, really witnessing myself show up for myself. The tantric practices um into the embodiment of myself has really helped. And then through that embodiment, I've been able to really witness myself as a leader, because I just didn't really, I always felt like I was a follower. And through these practices, I've really been able to tap into that leadership and just really follow my own intuition and listen to that own inner voice that I have within myself. And so that's how the tantric embodiment has helped me come into this leadership.
Mhm.
So, and I know I have still a lot more to learn, but that's where I'm at for right now.
Mhm. Yes, listening to your own truth beforehand, and that's the foundation, right? Where
Mhm.
the point of reference is like, well, that's where I start to lead, leading yourself, right, beforehand.
Mhm. Yep.
Beautiful. So, how did you become aware of your mm, soul path, of your embodiment of the high priestess archetype, uh, and this ritualistic medicine woman? How did this experience unfold for you?
Well, it actually started at a really young age. I was about 4 years old, and my mom had made this vest and the skirt for my sisters for, I don't know, something. And it was dark green and it had these beautiful little peach flowers all over it. And I remember that Halloween, my mom was like, "Ooh, we should dress you up as a gypsy." And I was like, "Oh, I want to be a gypsy." And so that's kind of when that first started. And then growing up, I looked very much older than I actually was. And I started noticing that I was developing a lot faster than the other girls in elementary. And, through junior high, I had this wisdom that was not really ever given to me about sexuality and sensuality. And I just kind of flowed in this state, and I wasn't really sure of if this was what I was supposed to do, but I just had it. And progressing into my adult years, um, I just really felt like I was supposed to have a deeper spiritual path than what I was actually on. And so I did start to kind of like dive on palmistry and in astrology and, mediumship. Like I've read, all the self-help mediumship books and, that sort of thing. And always thought, oh, one day I'm going to be like this psychic or whatever, but I still had such primal sensual rooted energy that I was just like pumping through my veins, and often I just felt so ashamed of it. Like I wasn't supposed to have this. It was, like a sin to have this, and so um getting older and being in my relationship, I and my husband too, he just obviously loves that part of me, so it's like I was able to really tap into some of that, and I did not know how to um project it into the manifestation of the life that I really wanted, until I started going through my healing journey. And then obviously becoming into this a Tantra apprenticeship program. And that's what's really has enabled me to focus that to where it needs to be, to really tap into that version of myself that I have been my whole entire life, instead of it letting it be this chaotic wild feminine or this really wounded masculine. I've been able to bring it into an alignment and really channel that through my body, through my practices, through the Norse animism that we practice, through the veneration of our ancestors, through the land spirits and tapping into the land. That's how I've been able to bring it all back to center and to be on this tantric priestess path.
Mhm. Yes, it's so incredible that it's open, and then the deeper you go, it opens up. It's kind of accelerating. It's like wow, you're really stepping into your wholeness with this, and you're already working with clients. You have your women's circle. You have your practices, rituals. You have your offers. So, could you share a little bit more of what you're offering? What is available for people? How can they experience your magic and experience your medicine?
Well, I am currently offering ceremonies, cacao ceremonies, hot ceremonies. We can do a combined ceremony. We can do, I do offer medicine ceremonies too with my husband. We can include Tantra with those. I have gone pretty deep with this client that we have shared together. And that has just been super powerful for her. I do offer the women's circles, and coming soon, I'll be co-facilitating a drum circle. The frame drum has been one of my most favorite instruments. I've been playing it for about a year now, and I'm still not, a professional, but I get to tap into that space with that instrument and really bring up some of that primordial energy. And I feel like a lot of women could really use that. And then I am creating a new venture right now, and I am so excited to offer it. Um, but it is called The Bloodless Womb Mysteries.
Mm.
So I'm going to be offering that to women who have had hysterectomies and women who are in their menopausal phase, really helping them connect into that energetic womb space because oftentimes we have been told that, oh, you no longer bleed, you're barren. Oh, you have no uterus, you're barren. You're not this. And this has been a programming for us women. And it's really affects like our lives and our sex life. And oftentimes we don't enjoy that. And so I am here to remind those women that are in those spaces that you are still delicious and you are still so sexy and you can still tap into that. And you still have the arrows of life flowing in between your thighs. So and then I'm here to support our younger generations, and helping them step into that sacred sexuality, helping them tap into those places that our mothers never taught us. So it's like I'm here to be your spiritual mom
Mhm.
and help guide these younger women into the place that they desire, before and they're in their 40s. It's like a lot of women don't know how to get there until they're in their 40s. We have this like aha moment or whatever it is, and it's like, oh, I need to start doing this. And so I want to be one of the threshold priestesses that bring women into this space so that they have all the time that they need to really be in their sensuality and their sexuality and just be embodied.
Mm.
So,
Powerful work. Yes, I love both of these directions that you're taking to heal women who are going to menopause and they went through that procedure, right? Like they feel like, oh, I'm not a woman anymore, and like really help them to embody their truth and be, full expression of the feminine, no matter what,
mhm,
because that's who we are, and energetically we are whole. And the younger generation, this is like gold because young women and also men too, but young women don't have a place to go. Like their parents don't educate them, the schools are very limited with education about sexuality and relationships and intimacy and like femininity, like what is sacred feminine, how do you embody that, how do you discover yourself, your archetype, right, your relationship with your soul, with your body. So this
mhm.
is so important. And yes, I will share all the links of how to find Lisa in Utah. For now, she's in Utah, but she is going to be also working online at some point and sharing her gifts
Mhm.
online. But for now, I will share all the links of how you can find Lisa and how you can receive her medicine through her work. Thank you so much, Lisa, for this conversation. I love you so
Thank you.
much. And I
I
do.
love you. Thank you.